welcome to Wilcox Nursery and Landscape. I'm Bruce Turley, the owner, and this is where we are focused on native plants and sustainable products and practices. We're going to be talking about native plants and identifying and getting you familiar with some of our native plants. We're going to do a segment where we do some points of interest around the nursery and talk about some of the plant displays that you can see plants grown out. So the question always arises is, what is a native plant? A native plant would be a plant that occurred here naturally prior to European contact here in the New World. And why do we plant native plants? Native plants have adapted the diversity of environments we have in Florida, and so they are able to help us reduce our input from fertilizers, pesticides, and they're really fantastic for providing sustainability from our pollinators up the whole chain of life. And they, of course, give us a sense that we know where we are as opposed to anywhere else on the globe. So we're going to talk about some of the areas of interest here in the nursery. The feature that we're looking at currently is our water feature. It is a pondless fountain. So it's a little bit well covered with plants here. We have a great diversity of native plants growing in this setting. And you can hopefully see the water flow here. Well, water can be a really great way to attract birds and other wildlife to help support them. The sound usually helps to draw them in. So again, we have a variety of plants here, from southern shield fern to the climbing aster that you see behind it. There's Christmas berry up here above. They're starting to get to that time of year where they're going to be showing their showy berries, and the birds like those. Down here is the swamp lily, the crinum lily. There's some southern maidenhair fern down in here. There's quite a bit of diversity tucked in and amongst this whole thing. There's water dropwort, which again is a larval plant for black swallowtails, and right now we've got a bee that's coming to visit the flowers. There's rosin flower tucked in here. There's horsetails. There's dwarf Fakahatchee grass here in the foreground. We have a form of Fakahatchee grass called blue Fakahatchee because of its blue coloring. We have scarlet hibiscus. This one has been flowering and has already passed bloom. You can see the seed capsules that it's now producing. It has that distinctive foliage, and the flowers are that brilliant big red hibiscus flower that are so striking. We also have false nettle in here, which is a larval plant for red admiral butterflies. It's not a particularly pretty plant, but it is an important plant if you're wanting to attract a diversity of butterflies. And red admirals are a species of butterfly that we all can have in our urban setting in this area. Another plant that's growing down here underneath the waterfall, I'll just pull some pieces up here that you can see, is water hyssop. Water hyssop, again, is a pretty common native ground cover, makes a nice potted plant as well if you wish. And that is a larval plant for peacock butterflies. So on this side of our water feature in our planting here is seaside goldenrod. Again, there's many goldenrods. Of course, they have that misconception that they're an allergen, which they're not, but they are a easy to grow plant, and they're a great pollinator plant. They attract a great deal of different bees and butterflies to them when they're in bloom. Another one that's here that's kind of a unique plant is the dwarf saltbush. Saltbushes are really known for their nectaring, for the nectar that they provide for butterflies in the fall, including monarch butterflies. This one is all budded up and getting ready to bloom with its little cream-colored flowers here very shortly. It's a member of the aster family, and they're always great attractors for butterflies. Some other plants that we have in this section, there's wild cinnamon bark. It is a South Florida tree, but it does reasonably well in warm areas in our area. And again, it has these clusters of red, small but very brilliant red flowers on the branch tips, as well as red berries. They're great again for attracting birds to the berries. Really nice attractive foliage, and the flower and the berry is very attractive on it. As we move around here, you can actually see the blooms on the dwarf saltbush that we were just looking at a moment ago. It's got that dusty gray-green foliage that backs that cream-colored bloom. And again, I've seen tons of our peacock butterflies that are attracted to this feature because our water hyssop is in there, their larval plant, and they come to the flowers on this plant. Another one that we have here in the foreground is a great wildflower that we really love. It's a super easy grower and just blooms most of the year in our area, and that's again rosinweed or a silphium. So on this side of our water feature we have ironweed, which again blooms through the summer and into the fall. It has this beautiful purple flower and again is a great attractor for pollinators, especially butterflies, and it will tolerate some shading as well as some open sunlight. So it is a pretty versatile wildflower for some of the various areas in a landscape. Typically will grow fairly tall. This is common ironweed, which tends to maybe be just a little bit shorter. Growing next to it here is a really useful shrub for the landscape. This one is horizontal form of white indigo berry. There's a very common form that you find in the woods that's a very vertical or upright grower. This one has a little richer foliage and this, as you can see, a very horizontal habit. It produces a small white star-shaped flower, slightly fragrant, again attracts butterflies, undoubtedly other pollinators, and the female plants will produce a fairly good size fruit that is kind of a dull white but indigo colored on the inside, hence the kind of the odd name of white indigo berry. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's really what it is. And then on the corner we have white stopper. White stopper is the stopper that naturally occurs up into the Tampa Bay area. This one, as you can see, has the fruit starting to turn on it. The fruit is certainly useful for attracting birds, does add an ornament to the plant, and prior to the fruiting it produces fragrant small spidery flowers that's pretty prolific. So again, white stopper. So this overall area again has a real diversity of plants, many things that even in this expose that we really can't see. There's some lyre-leaf sage in there. There's just a real diversity of other plants that we're not necessarily easily able to see but are tucked in here. So that's our tour of our little vignettes here at the nursery. And if you really want a dynamic 365, 24/7, plant native plants in your landscape, like our firebush here and our goldenrods, and you will bring all kinds of life to your landscape.